An innocent girl accused of witchcraft by her own stepmother. Why? Because she had a rare gift, one the world didn't understand. Banished from her village, homeless, rejected, and wandering the streets. But destiny had not forgotten her. One day she crossed paths with a heartbroken billionaire whose only daughter had been crippled since birth. No doctor across the globe could heal her, but this homeless girl looked him in the eye and said one thing that shocked everyone. "Sir, I can make your daughter walk again." Was she crazy or chosen? Can a girl with no education do what the world's top doctors failed to do? Well, get ready to find out. Because this isn't just a story. It's a journey of pain, purpose, and an unforgettable miracle that will leave you speechless. So grab your popcorn, sit back, and whatever you do, don't click away. You need to see how this one ends. And if you're just joining us, hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and turn on the bell so you never miss powerful stories like this one. Let's dive in. Chief Peter stood in the middle of his private gym, staring at the treadmill like it had just insulted him. Beside him, Princess sat quietly in her custom wheelchair. 17 years old, legs complete, not a single scar or defect. And yet, she had never walked, not one step. "You don't have to push me, Daddy," she said, her voice soft. "I'm not pushing," he replied quickly. "I'm just trying." Trying what? He had no answer. The gym was filled with equipment from Italy, machines that cost more than most families earned in a year. All useless. Doctors had flown in from London, Cape Town, Atlanta, neurologists, orthopedic surgeons, spiritualists. One had even claimed her bones were cursed by ancestral spirits. Chief Peter tried everything. Nothing worked. The last specialist from Germany had said it bluntly on the phone just yesterday. "Your daughter's condition defies science. Her muscles function, her nerves respond, but she will never walk." He had hung up without a word. In a different world, just hours outside the city, Amaka bent over a wooden mortar, pounding bitter leaves under the sun. Her fingers were stained green, her palms raw from work. She was only 16, but she looked older. Life had shaped her bones early. "Faster!" Mama Nkechi barked from inside the house. "Do you want to sleep without food?" Amaka didn't respond. She knew the routine: pound, sweep, wash, repeat. The more silent she stayed, the fewer slaps she received. Orphaned at 5. Taken in by a stepmother who never hid her hatred. And worst of all, Amaka was different. She had a strange gift. Sick people came to her. Sometimes by accident, sometimes whispered about. She would crush herbs, give instructions, and they got better. Rashes disappeared, pain stopped, fevers broke, but instead of praise, she got fear. "She's not normal," neighbors said. "Be careful, that girl sees things in her sleep." Once she healed a child who was choking. 2 days later, the boy's mother said Amaka used spirit water. From that day, she was labeled witch girl. Still, Amaka never defended herself. Her power confused even her. She never asked for it, but it had cursed her all the same. Back in Banana Island, Chief Peter joined Princess for breakfast in silence. The table was lined with imported fruits, golden cutlery, and hand-wrapped pastries. He watched her pick at a croissant without eating. "Would you like something else?" he asked. "No, should I?" "No, Daddy, I'm okay." He hated how normal their routine had become. He pushed his plate aside and leaned in. "Would you like to go out tomorrow anywhere?" She looked up, surprised. "Out?" "Yes, maybe the park? You haven't been out in a while." She nodded slowly. "Okay, just to see other people." Running. His heart tightened. Every little reminder of what she couldn't do cut deeper. That same night, Amaka sat outside her stepmother's hut, staring at the sky. She hadn't eaten. There was no dinner for her that day. Mama Nkechi said the yams weren't enough. She closed her eyes, tired. Then it came. Not a dream, a vision. A man in a black suit, grief in his eyes, standing beside a girl in a wheelchair. Her legs still, her face pale. In the vision, Amaka stood before them and said, "I can make her walk." Then the man knelt crying, and the girl rose. Amaka gasped and opened her eyes. Her heart pounded. It wasn't just a dream. It felt like a command. "Mama," she called softly, "I saw someone. I think, I think I'm supposed to help them." "What nonsense again?" Mama Nkechi snapped. "You want to wake up the spirits with your madness?" "I saw a girl who couldn't walk. I saw myself helping her. A man, her father, he looked like a rich man." Mama Nkechi's face hardened. "So now you want to use your powers to charm rich people? Eh? So that they will serve you? You want to become madam overnight?" Amaka tried to explain. "It's not like that." But she didn't finish. The slap came hard. "If I hear you mention that dream again, I'll bury you next to your dead mother." Amaka turned away, but deep inside she knew something had started. The world was about to change. The next morning, Amaka woke with a pounding heart. She hadn't slept well. The dream was still vivid, the man in the black suit, the wheelchair girl, the words she spoke. "I can make her walk." It was haunting her, pulling at her spirit like a rope. In the kitchen, Mama Nkechi dropped a pot on the floor. "Lazy witch, still in bed? You want to become madam in your dreams, Abi?" Amaka came out quietly and picked up the pot. Her head was still spinning from the vision. "Something is coming," she said under her breath. Mama Nkechi laughed. "Something is coming, and it's carrying broom to sweep you away." But Amaka wasn't listening. She had another vision right there, eyes wide open. This time the man in the suit was kneeling, begging her not to leave. It faded in seconds. Her hands trembled. That same morning, Chief Peter sat in his office with his lawyer and his private doctor. "She's been checked in South Africa, India, even Switzerland," the doctor was saying. "Her nerves are fine, her bones are healthy, her spine is aligned, but still, nothing." The lawyer leaned in. "Sir, forgive me, but maybe it's time to accept she may never walk." Chief Peter said nothing. His eyes were on Princess, who sat by the window of the lounge, legs still, eyes distant. "She's not just my daughter," he muttered. "She's all I have." The lawyer rose, embarrassed. "We'll take our leave." Alone again, Chief Peter walked over to Princess. "Are you sure you still want to go out today?" She nodded without hesitation. He looked at her for a long time. "Okay." Back in the village, Amaka was washing clothes when a woman from the next compound came running. "Amaka, you're the one that sees things, Abi?" Amaka stood still. "Why?" "It's Chief Eze. He's sick, shaking, can't breathe well." Amaka's heart skipped. That name, that face, in her dream last week, she had seen Chief Eze clutching his chest. She told Mama Nkechi immediately. "Mama, Chief Eze is going to die. I saw it. He needs to check his blood pressure. Maybe something is wrong with his heart." Mama Nkechi burst into laughter. "You've started again? You want to kill the chief too?" "I'm not killing him. I saw it. He needs to go to the hospital." "Should I carry you there so you can rub his chest too?" Amaka shook her head and went quiet. That evening, Chief Eze collapsed in his compound. By morning, he was dead. No one expected it. He was healthy, no medical history, no warning signs, except Amaka's. By noon, the whole village was buzzing. She predicted it. She's the one who said it. What kind of child sees death like that? A group of elders gathered. Mama Nkechi was summoned. She told them everything. How Amaka had dreams, how she healed people with plants, how animals behaved strangely around her. "She even talks to herself sometimes," Mama Nkechi added with a dramatic gasp. "I'm afraid to live with her. I fear for my life." That was all they needed. By dusk, angry voices surrounded the house. "Bring her out. She must go." "Witch, murderer," Amaka tried to explain. "I didn't kill him. I only warned." But her words drowned in the chaos. Mama Nkechi opened the door and threw a torn nylon bag at her. "Leave my house, witch. Go and find your place among the spirits you talk to." Amaka didn't fight. She picked up her bag and walked away. Alone. By the time night fell, she was sitting by the back wall of the market, with a sack under her head and mosquitoes biting her legs. She hadn't eaten. She hadn't cried. She just kept seeing that man in the black suit in her mind again. This time he wasn't kneeling. He was staring at her, waiting. And in her chest, something whispered, "Go." Meanwhile, in Banana Island, Chief Peter parked his SUV outside the city's most luxurious children's park. He opened the door for Princess and carried her gently into her wheelchair. She smiled, taking in the sound of children running, laughing, living. For the first time in a long time, she didn't look sad. Chief Peter stood quietly beside her. For a brief moment, he forgot the pain, until a thought crept in. What if this is her life forever? He shook it off and smiled. You look happy. I am, she replied. Thank you for bringing me. He nodded, but deep inside his hope was dying. He didn't know that less than a mile away, a homeless girl had just risen from the ground and was walking toward fate. Amaka wandered from the market gate to a nearby shed. Her legs were weak, her stomach burned with emptiness. 2 sachets of water were all she had consumed in the last 24 hours. People avoided her like a disease. She begged for leftover akara from a roadside seller. The woman snatched her tray back. Leave this place! You want to use your witch eyes to poison my business? Amaka didn't argue. She moved on. She had no energy left to explain. She passed a group of schoolgirls. One of them pointed. Isn't that the girl they said killed Chief Eze? The others gasped. She's still walking freely? Let's go before she sees our future and kills us too. The words didn't sting anymore. Amaka's heart had already toughened. She found a piece of carton beside a closed provision store and laid her head down. Night was falling, but sleep didn't come. Instead, the vision came again. This time clearer. The man in the suit was standing in a garden. He looked exhausted. His hands trembled. Then the girl in the wheelchair reached for him and Amaka stepped between them. Her voice in the vision was calm, powerful. You gave me food. Now I give you your daughter's legs. Amaka sat up, her heart pounding. It wasn't just a dream, it was direction. She didn't know who they were or where to find them, but Lagos was calling her. She felt it. She stood, picked up her bag, and started walking toward the road. No plan, just faith. Across the city, inside a mansion guarded by 10-foot walls, Chief Peter was wide awake. He sat in his study, reading and rereading his daughter's medical reports. MRI scans, blood panels, therapy updates, a full folder, thicker than a law textbook, all of them saying the same thing. Nothing is wrong, but nothing works. The last doctor from Dubai had suggested stem cell therapy, but with no guarantee. Another dead end. He turned to a framed photo on the shelf, Princess, age 5, in a wheelchair, wearing a crown from a birthday party. She was smiling, but Chief Peter could still see the pain behind her eyes. His driver knocked gently. Sir, sorry, a message just came from your cardiologist. He said your blood pressure is too high. You need to rest. I'll rest when she walks, he said quietly. Sir? Never mind, go. The driver left. Chief Peter leaned back in his chair. Then unexpectedly, Princess wheeled herself into the room. You're still working? I couldn't sleep. She nodded, rolled to the window. I had a dream. He looked up. About what? I was standing, on the grass, walking toward you. He blinked. You... What? She turned. I saw you crying. I touched your hand. I said something, but I don't remember what. Chief Peter stood slowly. Don't say things like that. It's too cruel. It felt real. I know, he whispered. That's the worst part. By morning, Amaka had made it to the edge of the city. She had begged for transport. One bus driver let her hang by the back, half out, for free. When she got down near Surulere, she walked. People watched her with suspicion. Dirty girl, no shoes, torn wrapper. She walked through areas she didn't know, following only instinct. Eventually, she reached a roundabout with a large fountain. In the distance, she saw children playing inside a fenced park, and beside a black SUV, she saw him, the man from her dream. He stood beside a wheelchair. The girl, the exact girl. Amaka's heart skipped. She wasn't ready. She looked like a beggar. But the voice in her chest said, now. She moved closer, keeping to the sidewalk. When the man turned toward his car, Amaka stepped forward, but stopped. Fear choked her. What was she supposed to say? Would he believe her? Suddenly, he walked over to where she stood. Their eyes met. He reached into his car, pulled out a food pack and a folded N10,000 note. Take, he said simply. Eat something. Amaka accepted it. Thank you, sir. He nodded and turned back to his car, but something inside her screamed, say it. She took one bold step forward. Brr, she called out. He turned confused. I can make your daughter walk. Chief Peter froze. His hand was already on the car door. Princess sat in the back seat, quiet, watching. The guards glanced up, confused. His driver looked ready to push the girl away. What did you just say? Chief Peter asked. Amaka stepped closer. Her voice was calm, steady. I said I can make your daughter walk. The driver scoffed. Oga, this one day mad. She don't chop craze finish. Chief Peter raised his hand to silence him. Come again, he said to Amaka. I know it sounds crazy, sir, but I saw her. In my dream, I saw you. I was meant to meet you here. The silence was tense. Onlookers slowed down, trying to hear. A mother pulled her child away from the strange girl who claimed she could do what science couldn't. You know my daughter? Chief Peter asked slowly, suspicious. I've never seen her before today, but I saw her in my sleep. She was in a wheelchair. You were crying. I was standing in your garden. That shook him. Just last night, Princess had described that same dream. Him crying, her standing, walking. Coincidence? Or something deeper? The driver leaned in again. Sir, with all due respect, this is Lagos. This girl fit be ritualist. Amaka turned toward him. If I was evil, would I stop you from driving away? Chief Peter took a step back and studied her closely. Dirt streaked her skin. Her slippers were torn. Her wrapper was tied with a knot at the waist. But there was no fear in her face. No shame either. Just clarity. Princess opened the car door slowly. Daddy, she looks familiar. He turned. I think she was in my dream too. Now his heart started to race. This was too much. Two strangers, same dream. He turned back to Amaka. If you're playing games, I'm not, she said. I don't want your money. I don't want anything. Just take me to your house. Why? Because the solution is there. In your garden. The driver stepped forward again. Oga abeg, this girl they talk like person way they under spirit. No allow her follow us wetin we go talk if something happen. Chief Peter hesitated. Every part of him screamed that this was dangerous. But a smaller voice, one that sounded like faith, whispered, what if it's real? He looked at Amaka again. You'll enter the car? She nodded. You'll allow us to search you? She raised her arms. You can chain me if you want. Princess spoke up. Please, Daddy, just try. The guards looked uneasy, but Chief Peter opened the back door and gestured. Get in. Amaka climbed in quietly. The driver shook his head in disbelief and started the engine. The drive to Banana Island was quiet. Princess stared at Amaka with quiet curiosity. Amaka stared out the window, focused. Chief Peter kept glancing at the rearview mirror, watching both of them. He didn't know what to expect. A scam? A breakdown? Another disappointment? But something about her presence felt calm. When they reached the mansion, the guards at the gate looked stunned. Oga, who be this? She's with me, Chief Peter said. Let her in. As the gate opened and they entered the estate, Amaka's eyes widened. White marble walls, manicured lawns, 3 black SUVs, security cameras rotating from poles. Servants in uniform lined up as the car parked. She stepped down from the car quietly. One guard pulled Chief Peter aside. Oga, we fit search her? Yes, do it. Amaka raised her arms without resistance. The guards checked her bag, only a wrapper and a torn notebook. She's clean, sir. Chief Peter turned to her. You said something about my garden. Amaka nodded and pointed toward the back. That way. One of the guards moved to stop her, but Chief Peter raised a hand. Let her go. She walked across the lawn, past the fountain, past the trimmed hedges, then stopped near the corner of the fence. A low bush grew there. Most gardeners ignored it. Amaka knelt down, touched the leaves gently, then pulled at the soil. She brought out a thick reddish root. "This is what will make her walk," she said. Chief Peter frowned. "A root?" "Yes, it grows in very few places. It strengthens dead nerves when cooked right. Your staff probably saw it every day and never knew." "Are you saying herbs can do what medicine couldn't?" "I'm saying faith can," she replied. Princess wheeled closer. "It smells strong." Amaka broke off a small piece and chewed it. "If it's poison, I would be dead by now." Chief Peter looked torn. His hands trembled. "You want my daughter to eat this? Only if you believe." He turned to Princess. She looked him in the eye. "I believe her." The mansion was in chaos. Chief Peter's personal doctor had been called. His head of security stood alert. Even the maids had gathered in a corner, whispering. Everyone stared at the strange, ragged girl who sat confidently at the center of the grand kitchen, boiling a thick root from the garden in a stainless pot. "Sir, this is dangerous," the doctor said. "We don't know what's in that thing." "She already tasted it," Princess replied from her wheelchair. "She's fine." "That means nothing," the doctor snapped. "Every human body reacts differently. You want to risk organ failure? Death?" Chief Peter stood in silence. He had fought so long for hope, and now that it stood in his kitchen, dirty, barefoot, uneducated, it didn't make sense. "Daddy, Princess said gently, "what if this is what we've been waiting for?" He turned toward her. "What if it isn't? Then we'll know we tried everything." The doctor leaned in again. "Sir, I beg you, this is a bad idea. Let us run tests on the root, lab work, blood sampling. Give us 48 hours. We've waited 17 years, Princess said. If we wait longer, I might lose the courage." The room went silent. Chief Peter looked at Amaka, who simply nodded. "I'm not asking for your trust, sir. I'm asking for a chance." Half an hour later, the boiling was done. Amaka poured the thick brown liquid into a clean glass cup and placed it before Princess. "Drink half now, the rest before bed." Chief Peter stood by the door, his arms folded. His face looked carved from stone. Princess reached for the cup. One of the guards stepped forward. "Sir, do we allow this?" Chief Peter didn't respond. "Sir," the doctor repeated. Louder now. "We're all looking to you." Then Princess drank, no drama, no shaking, no foaming at the mouth. She placed the empty cup on the table. Everyone waited. 5 minutes, nothing. 15 minutes, still nothing. Then she yawned. "Wonderingly, I feel very sleepy." Chief Peter rushed to her. "Are you okay? Are you dizzy? Heart beating fast?" "No, I just feel tired, like I want to sleep." The doctor checked her pulse. "Normal." Her eyes began to close. "Daddy, can I rest a bit? Just a little?" Chief Peter helped her into her room himself, tucked her in, pulled the blanket over her legs, watched her sleep like he had watched her as a baby. But now his hands were shaking. When he returned to the living room, Amaka was still sitting calmly, her hands folded on her lap. "Where did you learn this?" he asked. "I didn't. It comes to me." He nodded slowly. "People have called you names, haven't they?" "Yes." "Witch?" She smiled faintly. "Many times," he sighed. "My entire life, I've trusted people with degrees and lab coats. But tonight, I trusted a barefoot stranger." Amaka looked up. "That's what faith looks like." He didn't respond, just nodded and walked away. That night, no one slept. 2 guards were posted outside Princess' room. Chief Peter checked her breathing every 30 minutes. He paced the hallway like a man waiting for a verdict. At 3:47 a.m., she turned in her bed and mumbled something. Chief Peter rushed in. "Princess?" She yawned again. "Still sleepy?" "Anything wrong?" "No, just dreaming a lot." "What did you see?" She paused. "I was in a field. Running." He froze. "Then I looked back, and you were smiling. But not sad smiling, really smiling." He left the room without a word. Downstairs, the guards offered Amaka a mattress to sleep on in the servants' quarters. But she declined. "I'll sit here," she said, "till morning." She sat by the garden fountain, hugging her knees. For the first time in years, no one was throwing stones or curses. No one calling her witch or demon. It was quiet, peaceful. But she wasn't celebrating yet. Miracles take time. She knew that. By morning, Princess was still asleep. Chief Peter stared at her from the doorway, his eyes bloodshot, his hands twitching. He had prayed more that night than he had in the past 10 years combined. When she stirred again and opened her eyes fully, his heart jumped. "Daddy?" she whispered. "Yes, my love." "I think I'm hungry." He smiled with relief. "You'll eat anything you want." But inside, he was screaming for more. She hadn't moved her legs. Not yet. Amaka watched from the garden, silent, waiting. By the second day, Princess was still asleep more than awake. When she opened her eyes, she spoke softly, ate very little, and drifted back into dreams. Chief Peter didn't leave her side. He had canceled all business meetings. His phones were off. His only focus now was her breath, her pulse, and the hope that something, anything, might change. But nothing did. The mansion grew quieter with each passing hour. Guards spoke in whispers. Servants moved like shadows. Even the birds in the garden seemed to chirp more cautiously. The doctor had stopped arguing. "She's stable," he said. "Her blood pressure is fine. No sign of toxicity. But medically, there's no explanation for this prolonged sleep." Chief Peter asked only one question. "Is she in danger?" "No," the doctor said. "But I can't explain what's happening either." He nodded. "You don't need to." Downstairs, Amaka sat alone in the sitting room, under the large chandelier she hadn't dared to glance at before. One of the maids brought her rice and stew on a ceramic plate, different from the stainless one they used the first day. They were warming up to her, but the stares remained. The suspicion, the silent judgment. She heard them whisper at night. What if she poisoned the girl slowly? She hasn't even touched the Bible since she came here. Witch or not, something is off. Amaka didn't respond. She knew how this worked. She had lived it all her life. People fear what they can't control, especially when it wears rags and doesn't speak their language. What hurt wasn't the whispers. It was the silence of the man who brought her here. Chief Peter hadn't said a word to her in over 24 hours. He didn't ask how she was, didn't even look her way. That was the price of belief. Faith sounded beautiful in books, but in reality, it felt like being watched by everyone and trusted by no one. On the third day, Chief Peter finally came downstairs. His eyes were sunken, his shirt untucked. He looked like a ghost of the man who ran a billion-naira empire. He walked up to Amaka. She stood immediately. "Still nothing," he said, voice low. Amaka nodded once. "It's not time yet. You said the solution was in my garden." It was. But she's not walking. Not yet. His jaw clenched. "Give me something. A sign. A reason to believe." She looked at him directly. "Do you remember what you gave me the day we met?" He paused. "Food. And 10,000 naira." "Exactly. You gave freely to someone the world ignored. No camera. No intention. Just kindness. And that moment was your offering. You planted the seed. You didn't know it, but your miracle began before I opened my mouth." Chief Peter said nothing. "You're looking for results, but faith doesn't start with outcomes. It starts with obedience, Waomis." He swallowed hard. "You sound like a prophet." "I'm not." "Then who are you?" She smiled faintly. "A girl God didn't forget." That night, something changed. Princess stirred restlessly in her sleep. She whispered things they couldn't understand. At one point, she cried out softly, "Stop pushing me. Let me stand on my own." Chief Peter rushed in. "Princess?" She was asleep again. The doctor stood nearby. "Her body temperature is rising slightly." "Is that bad?" "I don't think so." Amaka stood at the doorway, watching. The next morning, when Princess opened her eyes fully, she didn't speak. She stared at her legs for a long time. Then she looked at her father. "I feel different." Chief Peter moved closer. "Different how?" "My feet, they're warm." He dropped to his knees and touched them. They were. He looked at Amaka. She didn't speak. She just nodded. Once, still, Princess didn't walk. Not yet. But the atmosphere shifted. The staff stopped whispering. The guards greeted Amaka with eye contact. The cook offered her yam and tea without being told. Chief Peter came to the garden where she sat that evening. I haven't said thank you. She looked up. Because nothing's happened yet? He nodded. You don't owe me thanks, she said. Just truth. When this is over, tell the truth about me. He didn't answer, but he sat beside her. In silence, that was enough for now. Because belief had already cost them all something. Comfort, control, pride, and that was the price. The morning was quiet, too quiet. Chief Peter hadn't slept. He sat by Princess' bedside, arms folded, heart racing each time she moved. It had been 4 days since she drank the strange root mixture. 4 days of waiting, watching, hoping, and nothing. Yes, her legs were warm, her breathing strong, but no movement, no sign of a miracle. Only sleep, silence, and stillness. He was beginning to think he had been fooled. He left her room just after 7 a.m., walking slowly down the hallway. His guards stood in place. Maids whispered greetings. Amaka sat in the garden staring into the morning sky. He didn't speak to her. He didn't have the strength to. At exactly 7:42 a.m., something happened. Princess opened her eyes and didn't just blink. She sat up quickly, breathing fast like someone waking from a heavy dream. Then she whispered, I need to stand. The nurse in the room froze. What? Princess threw off her blanket. Please, I need to stand. You shouldn't, let me call your father. But she didn't wait. She turned, shifted her legs over the side of the bed, and lowered them to the cold marble floor. Her toes touched down first, then the sole of her foot, then her heel. For the first time in her life, her legs held her weight. The nurse gasped, Jesus. Princess rose slowly, her knees shaking, but she stood. By herself. She wasn't dreaming. She wasn't falling. She was standing. And then, step by step, she walked to the door. Barefoot, unsteady, but real. Chief Peter heard the nurse screaming before he saw her. He ran toward the noise, heart pounding, afraid something had gone wrong. Then he saw her, walking, toward him. Princess? She smiled. Daddy, I can walk. He dropped to his knees. His hands covered his face. For a long second, he didn't move. Then he cried out, loud, broken, overcome. My God, my God. He grabbed her, held her, kissed her face 100 times. You're walking. You're walking. She laughed through her own tears. I don't know how, but I can. Behind them, the mansion burst into noise. Maids screamed. Guards rushed to see. The doctor collapsed into a chair, whispering, This isn't science. And outside, Amaka was still in the garden. She didn't flinch when the gates burst open and Chief Peter ran toward her. She's walking, he said, breathless. I know, Amaka replied calmly. He looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. You did it. No, she corrected. You did. He stared at her. Me? The day you gave me food without knowing who I was. That was the price. You paid it in kindness. He went silent. You fed someone the world rejected, and God remembered. His voice cracked. How do I thank you? You don't have to. He turned to his guards. Bring her new clothes, shoes, everything. Let her look like the queen she is. He brought her inside. The maids bathed her gently. She changed into a flowing dress one of the guests had left behind. They styled her hair, gave her a proper meal with cutlery. The guards saluted her without being told. When she finally stood in the living room beside Chief Peter, she looked nothing like the girl at the gate, but her eyes were still the same, still kind, still calm, still pure. Later that evening, when the house was calmer, Chief Peter called her aside. Amaka, I've spent millions, doctors, hospitals, prayers. Nothing worked. You changed my life, my daughter's life. Tell me what you want. A house, a car, 10 million, 20? She smiled gently. Nothing. He blinked. Nothing? I don't want anything. Not your money, not your house, oh my God. Then what do you want? She paused, her voice low. I want my name back. He frowned. Your name? I was thrown out of my village, accused of witchcraft. People called me evil for a gift I didn't ask for. I want the world to know the truth. That I'm not a curse. I'm not a demon. I'm not a witch. I'm just a girl who helped. Chief Peter's eyes filled with tears again. I swear to you, Amaka, I'll make the world know who you really are. She nodded. That's all I want. Then she turned away and walked out into the evening air. For once, not as a beggar, not as a stranger, but as the girl who made the impossible possible. 3 days later, Amaka stood on a polished stage in front of flashing cameras, dressed in a pale blue gown that flowed gently around her feet. A quiet hush settled over the hall. Journalists, doctors, public figures, and influencers filled every seat of the private press conference. At her side stood Chief Peter, his hand gently on her shoulder, and beside him, Princess, standing tall without support, without wheels, without shame. Every camera in the room was pointed at them. Chief Peter stepped to the microphone. For 17 years, he began, I searched the world for a cure. I went to hospitals in South Africa, Switzerland, and the US. I paid every consultant, every specialist, every healer. Nothing worked. He paused, eyes damp. But then, I gave food to a girl at a park, a girl I didn't know, a girl the world had already thrown away. Murmurs echoed in the crowd. He turned to Amaka, then back to the cameras. Her name is Amaka. She is not a witch. She is not cursed. She is not a fraud. She is a gift. Flashbulbs popped. Reporters whispered. This girl did what science could not. She gave me back my daughter, and all she asked in return was to be cleared of the lies the world pinned on her. He stepped aside. Amaka stood still for a moment, then approached the microphone. She cleared her throat softly. Most of you don't know me, and maybe some of you don't believe what you've heard. That's okay. I've lived most of my life being doubted. She looked down for a second, then lifted her chin. I didn't go to school. I didn't grow up in a mansion. I never saw my parents live long enough to explain why I am the way I am. All I know is people come to me sick, and sometimes, somehow, they leave better. She paused, but instead of being called gifted, I was called a witch. The room went silent. They threw me out of my village. I begged for food. I slept near market gutters. Nobody wanted to touch me. Nobody wanted to believe me. But Chief Peter believed enough to give me food when I was starving. And his kindness was the beginning of everything. She turned and looked directly at the cameras. So, to anyone who's ever been rejected, abandoned, labeled by fear, this is for you. You are not a curse. You are not invisible. And your voice matters. The crowd stood up. Some clapped. Some cried. Princess walked over and hugged Amaka tightly. Cameras captured it all. Later that night, Chief Peter brought Amaka to the rooftop terrace of his home. The moon was bright. The breeze carried the scent of flowers. I've cleared your name in the press, he said, but I want to do more. Amaka shook her head. You've done enough. No, he said firmly. I'm not done. I want to sponsor your education. I want to build a foundation in your name, a center for gifted children who don't fit the world's mold. Let them find their voice too. Amaka turned to him, stunned. Why? Because when you healed my daughter, you also healed something in me. Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. I don't want to be famous, she said. You won't be, but you will be free, respected, protected. She nodded slowly, and for the first time in her life, she believed she belonged somewhere. Back in the village, the same people who once spit at her name now gathered around radios and televisions. Isn't that the same Amaka that used to walk barefoot? She's the one that healed a billionaire's daughter. I always said that girl was special. Mama Nkechi sat alone on her porch, arms crossed, face blank. No one came to her compound. No one offered her yam or gossip. Silence had become her closest friend. Shame is always loudest in the mouths of those who once shouted lies. Weeks passed. Amaka began classes in a private learning center. She lived in a modest apartment funded by Chief Peter's foundation. Princess visited her often. They became close, like sisters. One day during a small outing, a child with a limp was brought to Amaka by a desperate mother. The woman knelt. Please, I heard what you did. Help us. Amaka looked at the boy, then knelt before him. She smiled. I'll try. Because the world had silenced her once. But now, she had become a voice for the voiceless. Moral of the story, kindness has power beyond understanding. A simple act of compassion can unlock miracles no amount of money or education can achieve. The world often rejects what it doesn't understand, but truth, when revealed, silences every lie. Never underestimate the value of a good heart, even when it comes in rags. We hope you were moved by this powerful story. Now it's your turn. Share your thoughts in the comments. What touched you the most? What lesson are you taking with you today? We read every comment and truly value your voice. And guess what? A brand new, emotional, and life-changing story is dropping in just a few days. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to watch it the moment it drops. If this story inspired you, don't forget to give it a like and share it with your friends and family. Let's spread these lessons of love, hope, and redemption together. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you, and see you in the next story.